Hello friends, and welcome back to the channel. This is Funmibi here again with a new video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing 10 mistakes that you're making that is making your beadwork not look the way you would like it to look. When you take a look at the bead detailing on certain types of outfits, I'm sure you always find them very appealing, and you tend to wonder, why does my own beadwork not look like what I am seeing on these outfits that I love so much? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I believe are mistakes that you're making that is not allowing your work look the way you would like it to look. If you'd like to know some of these things, please continue to watch. The first beading mistake that you're making is a poor thread tension, and what this simply means is you are not allowing the tension of the thread that you're using in beading. You're not letting it be tight enough or loose enough. For certain types of beading designs, you want your thread tension to be a bit loose, especially for designs like the dangling chain beading pattern. You don't want to pull too tight, because that way your beadwork is not going to look the right way. And when it comes to designs like the straight beading and beadings that you want to stay fitted on the outfits that you have already made, you need to pull pretty tightly on your thread. Don't pull to the point where you cut your thread, but don't let your beadwork be loose as well. So as a beader, it's important for you to know the right thread tension for the type of design that you're trying to achieve. And all of these things come from experience. When you practice and see how things turn out, you are able to make the right thread tension decision for the work that you're making. The second mistake that you're probably making is using uneven bead sizes. I always like to come on here to tell you that you need to determine what the end goal of the beadwork that you're doing is going to be before you even start beading at all. Don't start beading and start thinking, oh, do I want it to be like this or do I want it to be like that? Before you even pick up your needle and thread to start doing anything, have a picture in your mind. And that's where the fashion illustration bit of beadwork and design in general comes into play. You need to have the finished results that you're trying to achieve already on ground, so it guides your work as you go along. When it comes to using uneven bead sizes, except that's what you are going for, but if you want your work to look uniform and put together, make sure that you're using the same bead sizes. And I've come on here to talk about different types of beads and their sizes. If you've not seen that video, I'm going to link it on the show notes for you. Feel free to go check it out so you learn more about beads. But if you've started off your work with maybe a 4mm crystal bead and you want that same size all through your design, make sure that you stick to that same size of bead. Don't use size 4, then size 6, then size 8, then size 2. Your work is not going to look the way you'd like it to look, right? So paint a mental picture or a physical picture of what you want your end result to be, and try to stick with the design that you already put on the paper or whatever device that you have put your design on. The third mistake you're making is you're using the wrong thread or wire. I have come on here to talk just about threads. I've talked about all the different types of threads that you would typically use when it comes to beading and embellishment. If you've not seen that video as well, I will leave it on the show notes for you. Go check it out. But make sure that depending on what you're doing, you're using the right thread. Don't be embellishing an illusion mesh fabric and be using something like a 0.30mm fishing line or beading line. It's not going to work, right? And don't be embellishing maybe an Ankara dress and the dress is maybe blue and you're using a green thread. It has to make sense at the end of the day. That's what you want to do. Make sure that depending on the fabric, the material you're working with, you're choosing the right thread or wire, depending on what the case is, and work with those types of things. These are the things that will come together to make your work look beautiful. When it comes to working with illusion mesh in particular, I typically recommend using invisible thread. That's the only thread that is going to make your work look very neat. Any other thread that you use, it will work, to do the job, but your work is not going to look neat. When you look at people like Vicky James, Ideal Nopo, Imagine by Bukola, and the big names that you know, depending on the city that you're in, Pistis GH, and other fashion designers all across the globe that do fabulous work, you see their work looking very clean, very neat. The beauty of all of these things that you're seeing is because they're using the right tools, the right accessories, and putting things together very beautifully. So use the right thread or wire. The fourth mistake that you're probably making is when it comes to your finishing work. Your finishing is absolutely chaotic. And these things come in the little details, right? You don't want to have finished beading a dress and you see threads sticking out, or maybe your thread cut at some point and you didn't tidy up that point, you just continued beading and everything just looks chaotic at the end of the day. The finishing of your work is very, very important. Almost like the finishing is even as important as the entire work that I have done. If you've spent maybe 10 days or 10 weeks beading a dress and the finishing is poor, the person that you've made the dress for does not care how many hours or how many days you spent making the dress. All they are saying is the end result of what you've done, and they will probably not be very happy about what you've done. So make sure that your finishing is spot on. When you finish beading every portion, make sure that you are knotting appropriately, okay? And I've taught us on here how to knot your threads when you finish beading at a particular point. For those that are new here, watch my beading tutorial playlist. Start from the beginner tutorial to the advanced tutorial. It will guide you and teach you a lot of valuable things that will help you in your beading journey. Also, when it comes to threads, little things flying here and there, get your thread snipper. I share all of these tools that I use with you in every tutorial that I share. Get your thread snipper and just cut any stray thing that is not looking put together and clean it up, okay? I also shared with us in the latest tutorial that I shared on here, the peacock design. You saw where Vicky got her workers to paint the edge of the peacock design that was done just to cover up the edges and make it look beautiful, okay? You need to be very creative and make sure that you are looking at your design like a receiver of the service that you have provided. I don't know if that makes sense, okay? Look at the work like you're your own customer and you are analyzing the end result of what has been done. Don't just work as a creative alone. Also work and look at things from the perspective of the customer, okay? And kind of imagine how they will feel when they receive the work that you have done. If you're not pleased with what you're seeing, most likely your customer will not be pleased with what they receive from you. So take note of that. The next beading mistake that you're making is inconsistent bead placement. If you've started off a particular line, for example, using 5 beads and you want to create like the woven thread beading pattern, don't start with 5 beads, then pick 3 beads, then pick 2 beads, and then pick 1 bead and pick 5 beads. It's not going to make sense. With certain types of beading designs, it's very important to stick to a particular number. When it comes to something like the leaf beading pattern, I've shared with us that when you start with a particular number of beads, you need to stick with that number till you get to the end of the line that you're working with. Don't keep changing things and making things irregular. All of these things will contribute to the lack of neatness, okay, the untidiness of the work that you're doing. So make sure that you are consistent with your bead placement and the bead numbering when it comes to the designs that you're creating. Another embellishment mistake is using too much glue or too little glue. When working with glue in particular, if you know that the work you're doing is going to involve glue, it's absolutely important to be very, very careful, okay, very meticulous with the work that you're doing. Glue can make your work look very chaotic very easily, okay? So when working with glue, make sure that you're using the right amount, okay, not too much, not too little. And the ability to gauge what's too much and what's too little, it comes from experience when you've worked with different types of glues. Also, I should mention that different types of glues perform differently. The way hot glue will behave is different from the way something like B7000, B6000 or UHU glue is going to behave. You need to understand each of these glues and know how to work with them in different scenarios, okay? Make sure that the measurement, the quantity of glue you're using is very, is the right amount. Also, your manipulation of the glue, how you use the glue on your work. Don't be carrying glue and the glue will just be dropping all over the fabric that you're trying to embellish. All of these things will affect the end result of your work and it will make your work look very untidy. Another thing you want to take note of when it comes to the mistakes that you are probably making is color coordination. I've come on here to talk about color theory briefly, and I advised us in that video to do more research when it comes to color theory and color blending and all of that. But when it comes to embellishment, it's very important for your eyes to be able to choose and select colors appropriately, okay? Don't get a particular type of fabric and sew it so well. And when it comes to the choice of colors of embellishments that you're using on that outfit, don't use that one to now mess up all the work that you've done. It's going to be so chaotic and painful for you as a creative as well. When you pick a fabric, make sure that the embellishments, the appliques, the beads, the trimmings, everything that you're going to use to embellish that work is properly coordinated in such a way that all the colors marry each other nicely. Make sure that you don't make mistakes when it comes to your choice of colors, of embellishments, and things like that. Another beading mistake is using the wrong bead, okay? When you select the wrong type of bead for the wrong type of project. When it comes to fabrics like lace in particular, for me, I like to use sparkly beads on lace. I just feel like it makes your lace look more beautiful and just allows your design sparkle and shine. This is probably my own personal preference because I just like things that glitter. Call me extra, right? I like things that sparkle. I like when I walk into a room and I'm sparkling, okay? Especially when I have a major event that I'm attending, all right? But for you, it might be a different case, right? You might not like things that are too out there. But when it comes to lace and maybe you are designing an outfit for someone like a bride, you need to make sure that you are creating something that will make your bride look absolutely phenomenal, except when your bride or your celebrant, whoever it is that has asked you to make something for them, specifically tells you, oh, I want it to be very low-key, I don't want it to be too out there, I want you to keep it very cute and very, conservative. That's when you can now decide that, oh, my bride or my customer said this is what they want and I'm sticking with it. But if they've given you the creative freedom to just make them look beautiful, make sure that when you're choosing the type of beads and embellishment that you're doing on the type of fabric that they've provided you with, you are creating something that is going to make sense for them, okay? All of these things come from experience as well, and looking at things, be up to date with trends. I know people like to say different things about following trends and all of that, but if you're trying to make it in a market that is very saturated, you need to make sure that you are up to speed and bringing your A game all the time. Don't come with mediocre level of expertise and wonder why things are not making sense for you. It's because you're not up to date with things that are going on, okay? Look at what your mentors, okay, in the industry are doing and add your own side to it and make it look more beautiful, okay? So choose the right type of bead for the right type of fabric and make everything make sense ultimately. Another beading mistake or embellishment mistake that I should have mentioned a while ago is using the wrong beading needle. When it comes to beading, except you are beading or weaving your beads together, you most likely need a beading needle, okay? And it's very important to choose the right beading needle if you don't want your beading experience to be very chaotic. I have come on here as well to talk all about beading needles, their sizes, how to shop for them, how to make the right decision when choosing beading needles. I will leave that video on the show notes for us as well. Go check out that video, all right? When working with tiny beads, you want to use a very slim beading needle that will be able to pass through those tiny beads that you're working with. When working with large beads as well, you want to use a relatively large beading needle that would be able to take the weight of the beads that you're passing through it and create a beautiful beadwork at the end of the day. All of these things as well come with experience, practice, and just trying things and seeing what works for you and the kind of work that you typically do in your business. All right, so take note of that. The final embellishment mistake that you're making that is not allowing your work look the way you would like it to look is lack of patience. You are in a hurry to finish up that work because you want to take on 100 customers at a time and you don't want to leave money on the table. When it comes to embellishment, one major trait that you need to have is patience. Beading is not easy. I'm not going to come here and lie to you. Beading takes time, it takes patience, it takes perseverance because your beading needle sometimes can try you. Your beads themselves can sometimes try you and just make you want to lose your cool, but you need to be able to calm yourself down. Take breaks when necessary. If you feel like, oh, I've been sitting down here for 2 hours and my back is paining me and I'm hungry, I'm tired, take that break. Drop your stuff, go and eat. If it's that you watch an episode of a show, watch it and then come back to your work, okay? You need to be very patient in order to create something beautiful. And as a fashion designer, I know at the beginning, especially if you are upcoming, you don't necessarily have a lot of workers in your business and you're probably the one doing the bidding, the sewing, the everything for your business. It's very important to take on what you can handle. Don't bite more than you can chew. Don't take 10 customers and tell those people that, oh, I'm going to deliver in 1 week, knowing fully well that one outfit is probably going to take you that 1 week and you have 10 customers calling you, oh, I'm coming on Friday, I'm coming on Saturday, I'm coming on Sunday to pick up my dress, and you start developing anxiety and fear and all of that. It's not worth it. That's why I always say when it comes to pricing, make sure that for every work that you're doing, you are putting the right price on it so that at the end of the day, even if you spend 2 weeks working on one dress, you know that the amount of money that you're making from the work that you're doing is going to make sense and cover for that 2 weeks period when you will be zoning in and working on just one single dress. Don't undercharge your customers and then be broke and frustrated and miserable. It's not a good place to be in. I don't recommend it. So I hope you found all of these tips that I shared with you in today's video very valuable. If you did, please give me a big fat thumbs up. If this is your first time stopping by, hello, my name is Funmibi Olawore. I'm a fashion enthusiast based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I like to come on here weekly to share videos relating to beading and embellishment, self-improvement, fashion design, and things in that line of work. Occasionally, I share bits and pieces of my personal life on here on the channel. If you're not subscribed, now would be a fabulous time to hit that subscribe button and become a part of my YouTube community. I'm currently on my way to 100,000 subscribers and I'll need you to assist me in achieving that milestone on here on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching today's video and I can't wait to see you all in another one very, very soon. Bye.